welcome to the side. Wow, welcome to the side of the ring because it's time for Ringside. That's right, boys. Got a bunch of news lined up for you today. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump straight into it. Speaking about the WWE creative team's frustration with Vince McMahon's recent script changes on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said, quote, "They're trying to figure out a way to have him not do this. But, quote, even if you're Paul Levesque, you can't say anything to Vince because you're screwed if you say anything to Vince." Meltzer speculated that Triple H, quote, "has to be one of those who are frustrated," while BWE specifically mentioned Trips and Nick Khan as being among those who, quote, "didn't appreciate the changes made to last week's SmackDown because it felt, quote, looked bad all over." McMahon's fingerprints were on last night's Raw per PW Insider. Some of the site sources believe Vince's influence will grow as the Endeavor deal is finalized. First takeaway, the Endeavor deal's not over. I assume that I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about like legal jargon and all that, so I assume that means that like they are finalizing a couple things and they're working out a couple extra bits in like the contract and what have you, and I guess like they have to like give it to their lawyers or whatever, you know, just to make sure like everything is on the everything's on the straight and narrow, you know. So I assume that that's why the whole situation still hasn't been cleared up, but just wanted to, you know, get that out of the way. Now, I like that Nick and Triple H are both like, what are you doing? You know, this isn't a thing of like Triple H being like, what the hell is going on? And Nick Khan being like, I, for one, welcome our new overlords, you know, like Nick Khan and Triple H are both, see, but then it's the whole NXT thing, right? It's the whole NXT thing. Is Nick Khan actually upset about the whole endeavor? Get it? Or is he just saying that because Vince is screwing up the TV deal? You know, like, how much of this is Nick Khan being genuinely upset about the whole situation, and how much of it is him realizing that it's going to be a lot harder to make money in the near future if Vince is the one who's kind of like, you know, knocking the sandcastle over and everything like that. So do with that what you will. That's just, you know, my take on it. But I'm really glad that Nick and Triple H are both coming together, you know, and coming to a, you know, agreement on the whole situation. That's the only thing that's confusing me is like, well, I don't understand why Nick doesn't just like get him out of here. And I feel like the reason why he hasn't done that yet is because of like Vince's position and stuff like that. So hopefully somewhere down the line, Vince, you know, gets quietly moved off screen. You know, they put the sign up in front of the TV and it's just like Vince went back to his home planet. You know what I mean? So well, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how that turns out. Moving over to AEW, CM Punk and the Elite were in the building at the same time during Forbidden Door Sunday night, per Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio. They were given separate locker rooms that were, quote, as far apart as they could possibly situate them and didn't interact. Does anybody know about like the get along sweater? You got like the super oversized sweater and it's really, really, really big, and you take your kids if they're fighting and you shove them into it and you just go stay in there for like 10 minutes. I don't understand why they didn't just do that. What they're doing, right, is this is the thing that I was talking about with Collision as a whole, right? Because in the beginning, they were basically talking about how, like, if you don't like this guy, right, you can go over to that brand. And it's like, why are you perpetuating the toxic behavior, right? It's like, oh, you don't like this person, here's a club, go destroy one of their personal belongings. And he's like, okay, well, how come he can do that? It's like, no, it's fine, you can do it too. And then it just starts creating like this weird like environment where, you know, it's okay to not like somebody. You know, it's okay to feel however you're gonna feel about someone. And I don't like the fact that AEW, we're just gonna say AEW are like allowing both of these parties to act in this way towards each other. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that CM Punk is strictly thinking like this, and I'm not even going to say that the Young Bucks are thinking like this, but the fact that they are treating the both of them like this, you know, like they might as well, I don't know. I don't understand why they're treating them like this. It feels very weird. It feels like they're almost doing it for TV, you know, like, oh, we got to keep them apart, guys. Whoa, you know, there's nothing to this. It's not necessarily like waiting to see what happens. It's just, really, you're just hoping that like this just like stops, you know, it just fizzles out and we don't have to talk about this anymore. Sticking with AEW, regarding the dangerous Tiger Driver 91 Kenny Omega took from Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door, Alvarez said that, quote, word is that Kenny is okay, but I don't know if he's been checked out. Fightful Select's report on the match also mentioned concerns about its, quote, risky spots, but noted that Kenny was telling people he was okay backstage afterwards when he and Ospreay were greeted with a standing ovation and heavy praise from their peers. It seems like he's okay. Everybody really enjoyed the match. Will Ospreay seems to be all right as well, right? Noted that Kenny was telling people he was okay. Ospreay greeted with a standing ovation, right? So, I mean, they agreed to the spots that they did. They did the spots. They went well. Nobody got seriously injured. It looked like people got seriously injured, but they didn't. There was blood, but other than that, I mean, there's nothing really too much to say about it because they're okay, and there isn't really a whole lot to worry about. So I'm glad the match went well. The match was really good. There was a lot of, there was just a lot of everything in that match, to be totally honest with you. And yeah, man, at the end of the day, I'm just glad everyone's all right. What do we talk about? I don't know what's going to happen with Vince. I honestly have no idea. That is like a whole thing. That's a whole thing. Because you have to understand that Vince is the chairman, okay? And as much as you don't like him, there's nothing that you can do. You can't really say anything. It's literally what Meltzer said. You can't say anything. You're screwed if you say anything to Vince. You kind of have to just like smile through it, But at the same time, he's messing up your shows. And he's going to ruin your TV deal chances, and he's probably going to ruin like your stocks and all that sort of stuff. So he's doing something that's not okay, but like you can't say anything because he's the head honcho. So like you kind of have to figure out a way to sort of like slowly, you got to do the thing that me and my older brother used to do when our little brother wanted to play video games with us, and we would take the third controller and we would put it in the second memory card slot, and we would just make him think that he was playing video games with us, when in reality he was doing absolutely nothing. That's what you need to figure out how to do. I don't know why they separated Punk and the Elite. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It really it does not help at all. It doesn't help at all. Like, it's doing absolutely nothing, and I don't understand why we're doing this. Whole endeavor is making me so annoyed because of the way that certain people are going about this entire situation in a very like backwards way of thinking. But I don't know, man. The match was great with Kenny and Omega, Kenny and Ospreay, right? Again, there's a lot of dangerous spots, and it looked like at certain points they got like seriously injured, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't really seem like they genuinely got like seriously injured. Not like Bryan Danielson level injured, but so far it's all right. Everybody liked the match, they got a standing ovation. Were some of the spots risky? Yes, but again, at the end of the day, they're all right. So as long as they're walking back on their own accord, then there's not really too much you can say. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.